Hello everyone, so I am back as promised with my final review in this kind of trio of reviews, and that is for the White Barn Natural Elements Collection Mint candle. This one, again, as I said in my lemon video, which if you haven't seen, many of the packages or candles in this collection are repackages, and you know, the peach is boring, the lilac is boring, the almond is fairly boring, and the carrot nectarine is interesting but not amazing. Avocado coconut is just kind of weird, also interesting but strange. The two that really stick out to me are the lemon and the mint because they sound the most simple, but yet they're the most, in my opinion, most complex, unique, and actually not repackages, which, considering how many mint candles they've had and how many lemon candles they've had, they very well could have been, but I really appreciate that it's not. So, if you want to hear my kind of in-depth thoughts, feelings, rambles of the squatness of these candles and of the other candles in the collection, you can check out the lemon candle review. But for this, we're going to dig right into this. I'd say this one is actually by far my favorite. I like the lemon a lot, but this mint is just like out of this world. Now you can see on here, you know, I don't know actually what mint flowers look like when mint does, you know, produce flowers. Maybe it's this. I was thinking lavender, but clearly that's not lavender. But there is lavender in here, but that's not, I don't think, what lavender looks like. I'm showing my ignorance here, but not really certain. But those leaves do look like mint leaves to me. What they call for this one, it's just mint, but the notes listed are peppermint, spearmint, and lavender essential oils. So I think a lot of people may have just assumed, oh, it's mint, so it's sweet spearmint, like this one here, which was a failed test in 2014, or the sweet spearmint that was out in the mixed materials collection last year, which I have sniffed compared to this. It's downstairs, I didn't bring it up, but it's quite similar to the old failed sweet spearmint here, so I figured close enough. But what's so interesting about this is, I'll just get right into it before I compare it to these other ones, is it is a perfectly blended mix of mint and lavender. It is very green. The lavender is obvious, but not overly astringent. It's not overly herbal. It's not overly floral. It's a very clean lavender without, you know, the French lavender over here is pumped up with other things. This is just a pure lavender. But it really plays nicely with the mint. And the mint, to me, what you get in the sweet spearmint, I guess I'll just kind of dig in now to knock one out of the way. The sweet spearmint candle here and then the other one that came out last year are great, but they're very, very sweet. In fact, it even says here, freshly cut spearmint leaves sweetened by sugar crystals. And that's the truth. It smells like, you know, Wrigley's spearmint gum, and I love it. Maybe a bit of a vanilla almost in there. There could be something else thrown in there as well, but it's a sweet candied mint. It smells more like, again, like chewing gum or a vanilla candied mint. And very much spearmint, so no peppermint there. That is a straight spearmint. And the difference between spearmint I'm actually gonna get to in a second as well, because I have here bags of spearmint from Penzeys Spices, which is a great spice company if you're not familiar. Peppermint and spearmint, gonna sniff those and actually read you these descriptions, because I think a lot of folks just assume mint is mint. But I can read the description of peppermint and spearmint. Both are definitely present in this candle, and why I pulled out the dried herbs is, to me, this, when I first sniffed it, I was like, oh man, that is a true mint. It's not like the wet fresh mint leaves where, like, you know, twisted peppermint or even the sweet spearmint is more like a freshly chopped mint where it's wet. It seems, again, like that coolness, the temperature-wise factor to it, whereas this is very much, to me, dried mint leaves. With that dried lavender, it actually, you can almost, to me, smell the powderiness of it, where to me this is, they could call this mint lavender tea, because very, very much, to me, it is like the dried mint leaves, dried lavender, which there are many, you know, blends, herbal blends of just, again, mint and lavender that you brew as tea. And to me, that's exactly what this smells like. It is, to me, very obviously the dried leaf, again, versus the I don't want to say zesty, but versus the wet or almost menthol side that you get from like a fresh a fresh, chopped or torn up mint leaf. Now, really quickly I'll compare against these two, and then I want to bring in the dried, I say spices, but it's just the dried mint leaves. Comparing to French lavender, which is again pretty much the most pure lavender we've gotten from Bath & Body Works. They had a few different versions of lavender over the years that, sometimes they say have cedarwood and vanilla, and there was one, a failed test was just called lavender, there was a collection that had lavender and vetiver and I think orange spice or orange clove or something in it back in like 2012, 2013. And I think that even said like not cedarwood, freesia or jasmine or something else in the lavender with it. This one mentioned lavender with a hint of vanilla. This one again leans to me a little bit like a floral lavender, not super astringent or herbal, but more of the fields of lavender flowers, as it is shown on here. And it's nice, but to me there's something a little bit off with this. I had for me, a bunch. I think I had 2 or 3 of these, and they just burned hot and ended up smelling burnt, which is why, even though as much as I love lavender, I kind of just stopped caring about this candle, and anytime it's come out in this same blend, I've kind of ignored it. A really great lavender mint blend, actually. If you've been watching my videos since back 2012, you've seen this one. This is from, I called it the Gold Lid collection. This was when it was still Slatkin & Co. This is called Slatkin & Co. Good Life. It was an aromatherapy test blend. Some of my favorite scents to this day. I love the marketing. I love the aesthetic. I loved the, to me it was a perfect aromatherapy, and I loved the blends behind it. So my very first video you can check out if you want to see in-depth on, it was also from, again, the marketing side that I think is interesting. They had 2 different versions of the collection, both with gold lids, both with similar labels, but it went from a really complex, interesting set of 7 or 8 fragrances in the fall to in the springtime, a little more simple, a little more basic, and some repackages, which was the first time where I was like, oh man, they're gonna bring this back as something that it is not at all. But this one, Peace, which actually later came out as, I want to say, Lavender Market. The Paris collection of 3 candles, I think it was what, French, oh gosh, well, Paris Daydream, I think French Garden, and Lavender Market, I believe is what it was, were the 3. French Garden was a peach lavender, I think, and then Paris Daydream was, at the time, it was called Flirt in the Gold collection, Gold Lid Aromatherapy collection. It was called Flirt. And then it later came out as Paris Daydream and then Sparkling Icicles. And we've seen, a million versions of it since then. And then this piece was the Lavender Market, which was really good. And the notes on this one, in the bottom it just said lavender and sage. But then on the label here, you could see it actually said lavender, sage, and spearmint. It said lavender restores balance. I just love the aesthetic of it. And then, oh man, really nice balance of lavender. The sage, I don't see as much, other than I guess there's something a little bit green and slightly herbal in there. But definitely, strong on the spearmint, a nice blend of more of an herbaceous lavender with the spearmint. This is similar to that, and the fact that this is the closest that it's similar to, but this I still very much get like a sweet, the lavender and certainly the mint are sweet and a little bit more of like a wet or like freshly chopped mint, whereas this one, again, you could call it lavender mint tea or mint tea because to me it's dried. So that's that. Closest to this or Lavender Market, but not an exact dupe, but if you liked either of those, you'll love this one, I believe. Oh man, yeah, I love this. So now for anyone who wants to, learn along with me here, the prime difference between spearmint and peppermint, and I'm gonna compare literally this bag to the candle. As it says here, spearmint is the usual type of mint for seasoning lamb or using for jellies. It's also used in the Middle East for salads, tabbouleh, marinated vegetables, and many other dishes. It can be steeped alone for green tea or mixed with orange pekoe, Irish or English breakfast tea. Store mint leaves in a cool, dry place. So there's your take on spearmint. And then, and again, this is just going from like the kitchen use. It's not like the in-depth description of spearmint or peppermint. Peppermint is warm and spicy, used mostly for candy making and chocolate sauces, where it's infused into alcohol, oil, or water before using. Can be steeped alone for green tea, blah, 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 same thing. So comparing the two here. Heck, I'm actually gonna eat it. Why not, right? So the peppermint. I don't know why I'm showing you this bag of peppermint. This is more of the traditional, like, when you think of like that, like cooling, bright mint, or, you know, certainly holidays, you know, we've always peppermint everything. That's your cooling peppermint. Spearmint, to me, is softer. It smells sweeter versus like the menthol that you get from, or camphor you get from the peppermint. It smells sweeter on its own without being sweetened. Yeah, and almost a bit, I would almost say a bit floral. But yeah, peppermint, again, you've got like that cooling vibe. Spearmint, the cooling vibe is there, but it's a little sweeter, rounder, and a hint of floral to it are the primary differences there. But now, gosh, you can only see my teeth. I've got like dried mint leaves in them. I very much get a nice even blend of the two of those, not one or the other. The two of those in here, again, with that soft lavender, like the dried lavender buds. I just love it. I think it's a beautiful blend. I do wish it was a little stronger. I have noticed that the throw is decent, but it doesn't knock you out of the park the way that, you know, some of these other mint candles can. But again, I really think that's because it's more of a dried mint tea versus, you know, your twisted peppermint that will clear your sinuses on a good day. So that is the mint for the Natural Elements collection. I highly recommend checking it out, giving it a chance. Let me know what you think. And until next time, guys, take care.